Hi, everyone. I'm Steve here with Pastor Victor Brote. Thanks for being with us, Pastor.
Oh boy, so glad.
So we've talked about this verse before, um, and that, giving, giving on earth and resources and finances on earth, that can just easily be just washed away. But you're going to read something and just kind of give us a different angle on that. So go ahead, tell us what you got.
Okay, this is in Luke 21, 5 and 6. And right before it is that familiar passage to us about the widow's mite. And uh, just to remind you, we're talking about something like a copper penny. And I mean, people step over pennies. I don't need that, you know. They find these things just strewn around, whatever culture you are in, and the people standing there listening to Jesus saying that God values this lady's faithfulness. Some of his disciples, and I'm quoting now, reading, some of his disciples were marking how the temple was adorned with beautiful stones and with gifts dedicated to God. But Jesus says, what you see here, the time will come when not one stone will be left on another. Every one of them will be thrown down. Oh, this becomes so true. And people hearing that lived to see that day. It wasn't very long after Jesus was off the scene when the temple was thrown down. And what happened was they invaded Jerusalem. Rome was sick and tired of these Jews trying to insist on their God and their country, and they've just had enough. And so they burned down the whole city. And the intention, the plan, was to make this temple of God into another kind of temple for another small god. And God wasn't going to have it. And by mistake, maybe an arrow or a fire arrow or something went into some of the area that was the temple, and the temple burned down. And it melted all the gold in the stones and all around about. And they had to figure out ways of getting those pieces of gold, those drips of gold. And so they turned over every single stone. When you go to the Wailing Wall, by the way, that is the foundation that was underneath the temple. So it's not the temple, it's the foundation underneath. So you can still see some of those stones and how great and marvelous they were. But that temple was totally torn apart, just as Jesus said. And the whole thing is the disciples, or some of the people standing around, were so impressed with all the gold, with all the ornate stuff. And Jesus says, that doesn't even matter. It's all going to just fade away. It's going to be, the gold is going to be stolen. The wood is going to be burnt. It is nothing. And we have to take a kind of an account for ourselves. What are we doing that really matters? What are we doing that changes the eternal world? And that's what we need to be involved with. Even if it's just a smile, even if it's just a greeting in the name of Jesus, that matters more than all the gold in the world. And you and I can do that. We can do things that matter for the cause of Christ. It's so important to keep in mind. Don't look at the big golden edifice the shiny cell phone that you have, the shiny car, all of that. It's going to burn. It's going to become rust or dust or non-desirable in one way or another. So our focus needs to be kind of rightly set, not on the things of this world, but the promises of God.
Yeah, it makes you step back and say, okay, let me really evaluate what is real and what isn't real.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. So thanks, as
So good.
always, Pastor, for your insight and your perspective on this. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for allowing me to say these things and give God glory.